Live. We're live. What's going on, people of the internet? I'm just going to do a quick little tweet to say that we're live. Okay. How we doing, mate?
I'm all good, man. Thanks for having me on. It means a
Yeah?
lot. I
Oh,
love
of course.
the great thing about streams, I think, is or the streams I enjoy the most is what I should say. There's always when you get somebody else on with you, kind of thing. So glad we could. I'm glad you were happy to host me.
Oh, don't be silly, mate. No, I mean, yeah, I've been, I wouldn't say quiet over the last couple of weeks, but quieter than I'd like to have been in terms of just coming up with ideas and stuff. It's just so like to keep on top of it. I'm struggling to really get like a schedule going to where like I'm getting I don't want to upload every day because I don't think I can handle that in terms of like what I want to put out because I don't think I can think of that many ideas in that much quality in in that amount of time frame to where like I'm happy with it all. You know what I'm saying? I'm a bit more
Yeah,
of a
yeah.
not a perfectionist, but I just don't like putting things out for the sake of it. But sometimes, YouTube is a game of quantity over quality in many ways. But we've got a load of guys in. Tom, what's going on, made per show? Trevor, Connor R98. How are we all doing, lads? Hope we're all well. Hope you're enjoying the collab so far. We're 1 minute 30 in.
Well, see with me, like I'm obviously, if you don't mind me actually plugging this, but I've got a second channel called Sorare TV, and
Yeah.
I think. So with that, I'm trying to do daily uploads on that. This week I've had family kind of stuff on the go, so I've not been in work, if you can call this work, for basically all this week, which has been something in itself.
Yeah.
And with that, like I've tried to, it really, I've been in here, Harry, since like December, as you know, and what's this now, June? So like the thick end of 7 months,
Yeah.
and and it sounds dead easy, like I'll just sit down and think about stuff and then make video, but it's not as easy as that because like you can sometimes you could very easily think about 4 ideas and you think, right, I could repeat that every week, or I could repeat 6 things a month or something. But when you get into the weeds and you get the nitty gritty of it, sometimes it's not relevant, sometimes it's boring, sometimes it's overdone, and it's definitely a struggle, But I think I've got some sort of little pattern over there I'm comfortable enough with to do dailies, and then like see for like my main channel and like so rare in general, like daily content is difficult because like they, especially the now when there's international football on, which is the big motivation we had for teaming up on a stream more than anything, is because when there's not as much football on, like day to day action is minimal. You can maybe talk about market trades and market activity, but other than just pulling out a player out your arse and go, look how much he is, there's not much else that he can do.
Yeah, I
you
agree.
know.
Yeah, it's
So
tough. I mean, for one, I don't know how well we just kind of briefly spoke before we went live then in terms of how many teams we have this week, but I barely can put out a team. So, in terms of like content, in terms of doing like lineup builders, which I love doing in season, when there's games on, like I've got a lot more to talk about, there's games ongoing right now. For me, I'm a bit out of the loop in that sense. So I don't have one much content to make in that sense, and two much content that's like relatable because not many people really play the nations leagues and whatever Opta a sort of scoring over these international breaks. And for me, I like with an under 23 gallery, it's really tough. I think for to get out competitive lineups, and with the rotation that we that's another ordeal in itself with 4 to 5 games in a 12-day span for a lot of these nations. Like for me, with like say Diego Costa that's playing for Portugal, he played the first game, rested the second. Looks like he's playing tonight, and he'll probably be rested for the fourth. So it's like I don't have enough depth to where I can like work around that. I can barely work with that if he played all 4 games. So it's like, you know what? This is more of a detox. I'm 18 days to where I can not so much take a break. I'm still on Sora every day. I'm still making content, but it's not as like active and it's not as like in depth as it would be. Oh, when we're in season. Nick Karsh there with the 199. Nick, thank you so much. I do really appreciate it. Wheels on Mons joined as well. Surface to Air Missile. Hello, what's going on? Hendo
fist bumps
in
to
the
all.
chat. Yeah, we got a few boys. We got a few boys in here. we can still pull a crowd, Quinny. Apparently,
Well, what I was going to say, Harry, what do you make of the first? You're the first person I've had any real opportunity to talk to about this. The casual update, with the new rewards and whatever. How do you feel about that? Are you buzzing? You're going to play it? Are you going to play it competitively?
it's really funny you said that. I actually filmed the video yesterday, and it's going out tomorrow. Yeah,
Okay,
weirdly you said that.
No spoilers.
No,
no spoilers.
no, it's only a small video. It's only an 8-minute long video, and like to keep it short, no, I won't be playing it. I don't think us long timers should be able to play it. Personally, I don't think it's fair. I think it should be a closed book for effectively newcomers. I think it should just literally be a pool of players to where they haven't spent a penny on the platform, and I really do think that that's their little hub, that's their little like learning experience. They're dipping the toes into what Sorare can offer them, and I really don't see why we should be able to play. Like it bothers me a little bit because like when I joined, and probably when I know you joined it a bit before me, but when I joined, you could only play for 8 weeks, and then they opened it up forever.
Yep.
And I was a bit like, okay, fair enough. Like commons do have utility in the sense you can play them in rare divisions, and you can still do that. That will be prohibited in 3 months. Is it August they're getting rid of it? I can't remember the exact date, but they're getting rid of it. So when August comes around, we're going to just be looking at commons are only allowed in the casual league. And if you've got players, if you've got limiteds and rares and supers, whatever, I know it's an extra lineup that you can, try and win and whatever, but I really think it should just be a closed book. That's my personal opinion. I don't know what you think on that, but that's my sort of viewpoint of what my video does basically go into tomorrow.
I'm very much in the same kind of frame of mind. I think as well, there's it's a small enough number in terms of the old timers where I think most people will just kind of out of honor and respect just be kind of not going to bother with this. I think if you want to play it, you probably need to play it, kind of thing. So if you feel like, I'm playing it, then brilliant, then it's for you, But I don't, see, as soon as they turned on commons permanently, like the casual league, I done it the first week and I thought, oh, cool. And then I realised you win something every week and I thought, I don't want this. I do not want these fucking commons.
Oh, yeah, for OCD purposes, that's basically my reasoning behind it. Yeah, I just don't like the look of them in between my cards that I'm buying and set. I just don't know. For me, it ruins the whole aesthetic of my gallery personally, and of galleries. Like I said, I really do think it just should be a complete closed book. I don't think you should be able to even own. Maybe it should be like a 5-card limit of limited. Maybe if you own more than 5 limited, you cannot play the common league. Something along the lines of that. Because if you do win one of the 100 cards in a given game week in the casual league, then obviously you've got 1 limited. That's not really enough to do much with. You know what I'm saying? You can't really do much with that unless you want to, of course, pump more money in. I think it should get to a point where there should be just a fixed number of limiteds. Anything over that number, you're banned from playing the casual league, and you have to move on and progress into your, into your Sorare career if you want to do so. If you don't, that's on you. That's my opinion. I don't know whether that's too harsh, but that's how I kind of see it.
Surface Air Missiles confirming that this is a long-standing request to have the commons side benched or something. I was thinking there when you were talking. See, if you think about the new layout when you go into your teams and how they're you see the little 5-man square all-star pro and the little 5, and it's just their wee heads.
Yeah.
I had a kind of image in my head there when you were talking of in your main gallery having that separate bin just for the commons, if you like, so they never interact with the NFTs as such, they're just in their own compartment. That would be much better. I still would play it. And I don't think I think if anyone's motivated to play, but for me, it's again, we've been speculating and kind of blue sky thinking for the last 2 or 3 months about next season and after the big fundraise and all the EPL rumours, the much needed revamp of many facets of the game. What's going to come? How's it going to look? How's it going to feel? And this feels again, a month or 2 ago when they first did the specialist, and they first did the underdog, and they first did the monthly map. Mm-hmm. It feels like this might be the next step after that. Is now we're getting new division kind of, blah, blah, blah. So I think, this is the second step on a path, and it's going to be really fun to see what comes out over the next couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I saw somebody on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, or maybe it was multiple people, just being a bit pessimistic in the sense of they were sort of being a bit like, well, oh, they're only kind of doing this now because they're, the the MLB Sorare is coming in the next few months. Is it in conjunction with that in that sense? I know the casual league is obviously soccer, football related, but are they just ramping it all up on the football side just so they can like funnel that into the MLB? Do you think there's like a correlation between that?
I think especially I think any company that's run by people that are intelligent control their marketing and control their approach, to such an extent that they're not going to wake up when they did that casual league thing came out last Thursday or something. They're not waking up on Tuesday and going, we'll just come up with this great idea. Let's have it out ready for Thursday. No,
of course.
That's probably been sitting on ice since we got the calendar stuff and the specialist and underdog. And they probably went, right, we'll release this now. What was it, like back end of March? They tested it in March, and then maybe we got it in April, maybe beginning of May,
Mm-hmm.
And, they've probably got this little thing laid out. They'll be like, test it in March, release it then. We've had the special Freakly thing as well recently.
Yeah.
Test it, analyze, deploy, test it. Maybe that's the kind of cycle they're going through. So there will be negatives to everything that happens, and I'm just an optimistic person in general. I can't help it. So I'm always just like, this sounds great, and I can't wait to see what comes next, because this isn't the punchline. This is still the setup that we're in. There's a punchline with all this.
Brewing. Yeah, no, you're right. Do you think so like the previous iteration of the casual league with three prizes, first, second, and third, and nobody under that really, win any limited cards. Do you think that was like a reason, or is a reason, or was a reason why a lot of like these 50, 60, 70,000, maybe even 100,000 people that we've seen play the casual league? Do you think many of them are put off by like being in that league and being like, oh, well, I can only win one of three cards in terms of like limited, the rest obviously are commons. Like, do you think that might just completely put people off of the whole Sorare experience, even though that's only the free-to-play version?
I think for the free-to-play version, what I think is I think at my point, when I would have been most motivated to play that, would have been like, like in my kind of early 20s to kind of keep this brief, right? But like, I can remember being excited about the opportunity to farm stuff in games just for the sake of the game alone. So I can imagine like finding this game, having no money, being a student with student loans coming out of my ears, or unemployed between jobs, or in a low paid job or whatever, and thinking, do you know what? I'll just charge on with this as best as I can. I'm going to have fun, and best case scenario, it gets me going until I'm on my feet and I can maybe buy my favorite player, or I win a card, or Christmas present, whatever kind of thing. So I think enough people will be motivated to just play the free side of things, knowing that there is. It's the same as at the top end of the game. If in terms of how superware divisions are operated, the amount of uniques that are rewarded, it's the same kind of paradigm, but just at the back end. Like if I will fight I'll spend money on superwares and I'll build a team if I can win like something that's worth it. If you know what I mean. Equally, I will just spend my time farming the crap and training commons and winning more commons and picking the captain and studying commons, because that's all I can do, So yeah, I like the fact that it's more enticing to the farmer, let's say,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think there's some scope in terms of like them in terms of their onboarding situation, where before or now you just have to pick teams and they'll give you random cards? Do you think there could be scope for like just picking your own guy, like whoever you want? Like you have 10 guys, you have 10 commons, and you just type in the names and you go, I want this guy, I want this guy, I want this guy, I want this guy, and they're your 10 commons for the foreseeable future. Do you think that could be like maybe even like more the reason that people sign up? Like that sounds pretty cool to me in a weird way. Or do you think that's too easy?
Do you remember they used to do it like a draft system? They'd give you a budget.
Yeah, I was literally, this is no exaggeration, I think I was the week that changed.
Oh, really?
I swear on my life, because I remember I made my beginner's guide video, and the onboarding situation in when I got on in January, it says here, January 19th. Yeah. Let's say I made the video in like just early Feb, like between those dates, it had changed effectively. So I did do the draft, but before that, after that, there wasn't no draft. It was just you pick three of your favorite teams, and then you just get random cards from those teams effectively.
I wouldn't mind the draft thing coming back, but I think they changed it. I'm only speculating. I think they changed it just to make it like it probably takes up less space in whatever server it lives on. If it's just RNG, pick a few teams and we'll give you some random stuff rather than like a lot in a budget. And how much is a Kimmich worth on this draft now? And oh, he's injured.
Yeah.
Is he still worth 80 million? And putting any sort of resources against that, it just seems futile. So, like, I agree in principle, but it's probably, I think, because you'll remember this, Harry, as well, is there was a stage where they were quite resistant to putting resources against the free to play model. They were, like, listen, we're not, if we're, I think Nicholas said it in a podcast at some point over a year ago, certainly. And it was kind of like, we could make a free to play game really amazing, but it would like take up twice the amount of resources that we're currently using, on the actual game. So it's one of those ones, but it's not risk and reward, but what you put in, what you get, the kind of ROI aspect of it.
Yeah,
So,
I get that. But
so I think they're trying to find a wee halfway house between like offering enough of a free to play angle without going the full hang and having a free to play department that operate it and manage it and serve it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I get that, but then I also think, well, if he did say that a year ago, they didn't have the amount of employees that they do have now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, as a company, they've progressed in terms of employees, etc. So yeah, like you said, they probably don't want a free-to-play department, but you'd like to think over time that they're gonna need that free-to-play aspect of the game to be so good or good enough to a level to where like it's so enticing to where like it just like you get the craving to want to go into the paid version.
Yeah.
For the last God knows however long, I don't think it's been good enough. Does adding 97 more prizes make it better? Yes. Does it mean that like it's gonna? Does that mean, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know what's gonna really what can they do to it really that's gonna make it like wow, or do they want to make it wow?
I think if they want to make it wow, they open up regions on it.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I like that.
So like common 23s and common challenger and whatever. Don't allow limited cards, and I think that's them wanting to go for the wow factor at 100 cards in each or something. All tier 3s, tier 2s, whatever.
Do you think that's a numbers thing though? Do you think that's in terms of like, okay, the most they've had in a casual league today to say 120,000, whatever the number is? Do you think that that'll only happen if they get to like 250k or or 500k? Do you think it's more like based on the numbers, or do you think they should have that in place before it gets to that?
I think they always want to do things that are going to be the least likely to need changed. I think if they can do something and never do it again, that's the option they're going to take. If they could do it once and then it's fixed and it works, that's always going to be the route they take. So I think that'll always be it. What I was going to say is like whenever I'm trying to think about these situations, because like in real life, like I am so far removed from just being a common only player. It's just it's just the way it is. I always try and put myself in like I kind of alluded to earlier, like when I was younger, what kind of mindset I would have been in, and where I would have seen myself living in the game and kind of having fun and cutting my edge. And again, even if I think about it being in a sales job and whatever, and earning commission and doing these other things, maybe you get good times and you think, oh, I fucking love Celtic, I'm going to go buy a Kyogo now, I just got a big wage or something, or that kind of thing. And like I can imagine if the game goes as well as we expect it to, I reckon that probably the most common player type on Sorare will be somebody that owns less than 30 limiteds, and they're going to play probably, let's say, 3 limited divisions and then the casual. That's probably so if that's where most of them will probably spend most of their career, if you like, then the starting point of it only being 100 limiteds on the table is fine, I think.
Yeah.
Because if you're only ever going to win 30 because it's like, oh, goalkeepers, man, you see the prices of them. You buy one because you get a good deal on, you get a number 2 that comes good. How many cards are most people in the world going to own? Like, most football fans.
No, you're completely right. But then that comes into the question of going deeper into, well, is there going to be a bigger scarcity than limited? Do you know what I'm saying? Like that then could come into the question and be like, well, is there one of 10,000 to come eventually?
I think the need for that is maybe a wee bit further away than the need for limited. I think the limiteds were brought in ahead of time. I think the need for them is now really felt and enjoyed. But I do think for the first 2 or 3 months, like they were not for us, as I've said before.
Yeah.
So again, equally with that in mind, with that being introduced early enough, even though the company's grown and whatever, it's not been as parabolic as it's been the previous 18 months, if you get me. And it might even be even bigger in the next 6 months. Who knows what will happen in the future? But I do feel there should be enough limited score, like 1,000 of all these guys in all these divisions.
Every year as well.
I think about there's some guys, Harry, like I can't even think about some Conrad Limer, right? Conrad Limer has 3 or 4 rares now or something. Finally, they've had access to him like all since like the Bundesliga came out. So there's no real reason. He was injured and stuff. You know, there's reasons why his card hasn't came out. You know, it's not like a total glitch, but he was injured, and it's all the stuff they normally go through. They need to play a couple of games before, you know, Opta registers them as a starting player, then the card comes out. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. This is fragments of things I've read in conversations.
That's wild though. 3 rares.
But like, this kind of guy, there's thousands of them, and there's plenty, especially at tier 3 limited level and tier 2 limited level. There's plenty of guys that will have a huge array of issuance, you know, in the bank, if you like. You know, so when we get to August and it's new season and it's all these leagues that we know and they all start at 0, we've got 1,000 of everything again, you know, whenever all the new seasons rock in. Of course, some of them are already there, of course, MLS in Asia. So I don't think the need for Scarcity 2 or whatever we're going to you know, 10,000. I don't think that's as imminent as limiteds were. Yeah,
that makes sense. No, that makes complete sense. I saw Nick gave us a message asking, do either of us plan on playing the MLB Sorare? No?
Yeah, I know nothing about baseball. I've got family in America, so I'll probably message my brother. I'll say to him, do you know anything about baseball? If he says yes, I'll be like, tell me 3 people, and I'll probably buy 3 cards, and then that will be maximum. Depends on the players he tells me and the price of them. You know.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I'm interested in seeing. Like, I'm not that interested in really getting involved, but I am interested to just to view and see from a distance in terms of like, do you think it's going to have the same effect in terms of like, you know, when limited first came on, there was a massive boom, really, wasn't there? I know, like the 1 of 1,000s were priced quite high purely because collectability, but even like the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, you know, they were very expensive. You know, do you think like MLB is at a stage or will be at a stage where like they get priced at like a stupid price just because there's so many already like soccer Sorare users, if that makes sense?
I've got a sneaky feeling that you'll either die or win so heavily on the first like 3 cards of a lot of these things, because number one, I'm just going to use it. The smart people in the room won't jump in first, right? The worried people in the room won't jump in first. So the first couple of people that bite the bullet, some of them are going to get burned and pay over the odds for some things, and some of them are going to get some absolute wins. So I think, like, if I was even considering doing MLB, I'd know baseball or whatever, that's the first thing I'd be thinking about, is like, maybe my best shot is picking up, just go day one, buy 3s and accept I've bought 3 or 4 cards, I'm going to lose on some, I'm going to win on some, and move from there. Because then when like the smart money comes in and then people see, oh, there's PSU fans, he's buying all the Hans Vanaken baseball player, man, you know, whoever they're called. And then the market will move with these kind of things happening. The second thing is that I believe, and as I understand it, there is no ETH payouts of any description. There's no cash rewards of any description. And that is a very different win dynamic and market economy, because like, even if there was still money on podiums, or even if there was prizes to places 100 or something, that then gives the inherent value a lot of Sorare cards have, in terms of like why you would pick them up and play the game, and why you would entertain baseball. If I could play baseball and earn ETH thresholds the way I do with football, I would be probably 80% more motivated to buy a team than I am now. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that's going to be exclusive to football, because I think at this stage, I think if they could get rid of thresholds, they would. I think they think about it. I really do think they think about it. But I think at this stage, it's too ingrained in football. I don't think they can remove it entirely, which is why we had the previous progress bar caper. Point being, I don't think they're going to get any threshold dynamic with any other iteration of Sorare. which will
Do you
play a part in the
think?
values.
Of course, I agree. But then, do you think that is? Do you think that's from like a financial standpoint that they don't want thresholds in MLB, or do you think it's more of like a licensing thing where like the American side of things are saying you can't win ETH, money, monetary value, whatever, by placing these cards in tournaments? Like, is it that, or do you think it's like a financial thing?
I've heard that kind of line as well. I'm sure there's truth and all that kind of stuff in it, but it's one of these things that like baseball cards anyway, they now in different formats sell for prices. There is markets there already. It's like the stereotype of the collectible card is a baseball card. It's not
Yeah.
basketball, football. It's baseball. It's the ones that you hear about in pop culture and all the rest of it. Like came with a packet of gum and stuff like that, and then it's like worth $250,000 because it's some guy's rookie card or whatever. It's
Yeah.
baseball. So I think it's one of these. Yeah, I think it's one of these things. They're happy to release something into an existing market and just see whatever they go for, and that is what it is, and that's all fine by everyone who's involved because that's the way it is from day one. Whereas now it's like part of the game. So like I think it's a foundational thing and it's one of these things that it would harm them more. In my opinion, it would harm them more to remove that than it would be to have a different game that just never had it and then just leave one that has it, and that's what we've got, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, I get that. Do you also think then that they will try and play on the whole like real life experience with MLB in terms of like, okay, if you finish top 50, you get some tickets. Like, I know we've done that in the football side, but do you think that could be like the replacement for ETH in a weird way?
Yeah, that's definitely. I think that's the jackpot moment is when that stuff gets really rolled out and really accessible, and people start to taste that stuff like they've won it, they've got the tickets, they've got the signed shirts, the signed match day hat-trick ball or whatever it is. Because again, if you listen to and you read between the lines of all the stuff that they say publicly, like they don't want the whole attraction of the game to be ROI and income generation. As much as that's amazing. They want it to be the fan thing, which I'm all about as well, where it's like, you go to the game. I don't know if you've seen the thing Dan retweeted today. There was like somebody's concept thing about going to a game and
amazing.
or did you? Classy.
Yeah, unbelievable. Amazing.
That's the sort of thing I think that's the holy grail, was that kind of level of engagement with the clubs and fans and all that kind of thing. So
takes time though, doesn't it? I think it really takes time for the clubs to get on board. It's more like I've done an internship at the FAW, right? So I know from experience that when I was there, this is going back a few years ago now, like the way that they were thinking just with content, okay, and this is like YouTube content, it was dinosaur like, and that's no disrespect. Like I have a family member that works there, like. The way I wrote my dissertation, I wrote my university dissertation on how the FAW can improve their social media footprint. Okay, I wrote that and I still have it. They still haven't implemented anything really than what I spoke about in that dissertation. Not that I asked them to, but what I'm getting at is like back then and still now, like the English FAWT, wherever it is, FATV. They've been light years ahead in terms of creating like training content of the guys, the international players training, funny clips and game modes and like, would you rather's, TikTok. Like Wales are so far behind that, than England, for example. That's just the given example I'm giving here. Like for these organizations to get on board with like the Sorare type of future that we like to see with all this football situation, like scanning a card and getting some XP, like that is so far, unfortunately, in their like mindset, I think, or what I imagined it was like at that time, that like that's going to take a long time to get used to. And I love it together. Don't get me wrong. It'd be unbelievable if we could go to a game. I could go to Cardiff City Stadium, scan a barcode, and it gives me 100 XP on my Bale if he's starting or whatever it is. I think that is going to be the future, but the word future, like I just don't know how many years I get to the when. Like I'm scared to think how long that could be in a. And I'm a very optimistic person, but I've been there and I've worked in an organization.
Sorry, pal. I changed my camera.
No, you're fine. I think Quinny's camera's been on the sunbed too long. But yeah, that's just my sort of opinion on it. I mean, I don't know what you think, but it's a very, very exciting space, very exciting future. Okay, there we go. Quinny's back. What does Mikey Baston say? Agree that Sorare can set up new games with new rules, i.e. no thresholds, but would be a disaster to remove it from football. Yeah, like Quinny said, it seems like it's imprinted in the DNA of in Sorare, you know what I'm saying, in the game, to where if they did get rid of it, I think it would be somewhat disastrous for the game. Would you agree with that? Quinny just needs to get his microphone working, I imagine. But yeah, just who told us about the Havertz? Joshua says, yeah, Havertz only has one limited. I've got it on screen now. That's crazy. Why in the world would they only mint one Kai Havertz limited? I think that's weird. Do you think it could be something to do with like the licensing was only like valid until the end of 2021, so they couldn't mint any after that? I don't know, because they're obviously not minting any international players anymore. Like he says, is that because FAW are following the WRFU, who are notorious for being poor? I don't know, Mikey, to be fair. I don't. Maybe that could possibly be something, one of the reasons why. But, like, yeah, I don't have a definitive answer in terms of that being a thing. Let me get rid of this. Yeah, Quinny's mic isn't working right now. I'm not sure why. What we'll do is we're going to invite Quinny again. 2 seconds, lads. Let's just get Quinny back in. Quinny has died on us for now. But yeah, I don't know, Mikey. That's a good point. I don't know whether they're trying to emulate / stay in line with. The main man's back.
Can you hear me out?
Yeah, you're fine.
Sorted. Don't know what happened there. Sorry, guys.
No, you're fine.
I was recording with PSU fans earlier today. That'll be out Monday. So that's why the camera was melting, because of all the pumping that was going on.
That's class. Should we get into some of your lineups that you've got ready for this game week, Quinny?
Yeah, okay. I've got a few.
Or they're not. Yeah?
I've got a few. None of them are spectacular. But
no worries.
There is a competition on the go this week as well for...
Okay.
I think it's Nicholas. It's Nicholas is doing a giveaway.
Yeah, there is. Let me
nominate somebody to win All-Star, and you'll win an ETH if they win it, kind of thing.
Are you basically saying that you're going to win it?
I've been nominated by like 2 or 3 people, and I feel irresponsible for it not being. I'm thinking, should I make this my best limited team now, because I'd feel really shit if I did. But then I'm thinking, I really want to play my best cards in specialist, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm proper conflicted.
Do your share screen for us if you don't mind, just so we can get your.
Yeah, sure.
You're fine, just so I can get your team on. Here we go.
So this is my All-Star limited team. Axel Werner is not expected to play. Goretzka should come in on rotation. Gavi might play. Dzeko might play. Gil should play. So the 2 people that nominated me, if you're watching this, delete the tweet and do somebody else.
Repick.
Because this is my specialist team, which I'm pretty excited about, to be honest with you. Ralston killed it for Scotland the other night. I think he'll stay against Ireland. I don't see any reason why he would rotate. Don't need to protect him for minutes, you know. Kostic has been rested in the last game, so I think he comes back in. Abada is playing Albania, so if he's going to get decisive, it's a good game for it. Kramaric is on good form with Croatia. And Carlos Lampe should be making his debut, but it's against River Plate. My 2 underdog qualifiers for this specialist team is Carlos Lampe and, would you believe it, Liel Abada. So,
wow, okay.
So this is a fun team. I'm quite none of them.
Yeah, it's a nice looking team. Mikey said, didn't Dzeko come off injured last game?
Oh, good catch. So, well, again, the goalkeeper's probably
like you said. Yeah, it's not really.
Good catch, Mikey. I will drop that because I'll try my best to put something out, but I don't think I'll put much else behind it. Ovando, rookie. Yeah.
Russell said, Goretzka is so bad this year, really out of form.
Yeah, he is. He's not really kicked up yet, has he?
No.
I think he was injured for a little while right after I got this limited. I'll just put Ovando in since he came off the bench in the last game, and they're playing Sarmiento. I don't think they're great, so We'll go for the rookie. Again, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you've picked me for this, delete the tweet and pick somebody else. Pick McBride, because he might win.
Yeah, he actually might win.
Eve Bastion, I've got a full Scottish team out, but they're not all in the national team, which is fun. But and the keeper's going to be a DNP. This is just going to try and get me some Eve. But Mood in the Scotland camp's good after the Armenia win. Maybe the defence do well for me, and then 2 boys in MLS. This is probably my best looking team. I hope this does well. I think it should do well. It should all start as well. I don't really get any rotation headaches here. Enes Unal should be playing, and it's against Luxembourg, so like that could be fun,
that could be fun.
It could be a lot of fun. Kamala's
a really nice looking team.
And then again, the goalkeeper, I'm not expecting to play, but even without that, I think the Mecca might start for Germany against Hungary. And, he's in the squad. He's not featured yet. They are rotating. They keep talking about how they're rotating and how they're testing people out, whatever. He might get his minutes. Henriks started the first game this international window. Didn't appear in the last one. Maybe he gets minutes. He's my best shot, really. McGregor should play. Giacomakis should play. Goalkeeper probably won't. But you never know. If I get 4 starters and they all do well, who knows?
Who knows? Exactly, yeah.
That's as exciting as my international game weeks have been. This is the most excited it's been.
I would count that as very exciting, to be honest, considering, like you said, you're working on limited numbers and limited
especially
players.
That's a good team. That's a good
team. It is a good team. Yeah.
I mean, this game week, I've actually just got a lot of guys that are just kicking off now. I got notifications just as we came on.
Okay.
So my Eve Bastion's going okay.
Looking really good.
Almost there. Just with 2 guys, which is not too bad. This team's been an absolute hatchet job. And actually, it was all a hatchet job. It's just the Eve, just a wee bit of Eve. That's it.
I think that's, unless you're a super whale, there's just, and even then, sometimes the ETH is all really you should be looking to get on an international break if you have rare and above cards, I would say, because otherwise it's just so hard. Like I mentioned with the rotations within the national teams, it's hard enough to pick who's going to play for their national team. Never mind who's going to get rotated and when within their national team. It's really tough. Pershio said, "Harry, do you think Bale starts next game?" I think they play Belgium away, don't they? If I had to bet money, I would say he starts. Yeah, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't start. We've qualified for the World Cup now. There's nothing really where we need to keep him fit for. I don't see any reason why he won't start, to be completely honest, unless there's something where he has to go fly somewhere to maybe do a medical, if it's non-national team related, there's no reason why he shouldn't play. He came off the bench yesterday, I think it was. Albeit it was against Netherlands, who we were going to get beat by anyway, even though it was late. There's no reason why I don't see Bale starting.
Did you see the rumours with him to Getafe?
I did, yeah, but then I saw Fabrizio Romano, whatever his name is. He spoke to Bale's agent, and Bale's agent laughed at him and said, "I don't even have the Getafe president's number." So,
oh really?
Yeah, apparently, yeah. That's what
I thought.
Fabrizio Romano said.
He must really like Madrid, because I heard you talking about it being at him and Ramsey's holiday camp basically for the World Cup, which makes a lot of sense for all involved. I think everyone's a winner in that situation, especially Cardiff. And then when I heard the Getafe thing, it must have been the day after your stream, maybe 2 days after. I thought, it's the same kind of vibe. He gets to stay in Madrid, doesn't need to uproot. He can play for Getafe, which is just fucking about in La Liga, basically. They're not in Europe this year, Yeah. So I thought there's some logic in it,
There is. His kids go to school there. I get it logistically. But then I also read this morning the FAW chief executive, the new one. He's actually, I think he's Irish. I've not met him, so he wasn't the guy there when I was working there, blah, blah, blah. And he seems really, really cool. His name's Neil Mooney, I think. And he basically said that logistically, it would be great if we could have Bale and Ramsey closer to Wales in that sense, or in Wales. He didn't necessarily say that has to be Cardiff or Swansea or whatever, but he basically said, Wrexham, he said from a selfish point of view, looking forward to the World Cup, to have them in Wales or be around Wales for the next 6 months could be invaluable in that sense, in terms of getting them fit. them being around in terms of like publicity things or whatever, like I said, it's a selfish point of view from the FAW's perspective, but it does make sense. If Wales are going to a bloody World Cup, you're going to want your two best players on paper to be as fit as possible. And I don't think flying back and forth from Madrid or whatever that is, it takes a toll on the body. He's been doing it for 10 years, so I don't know what another 6 months is going to really do, but ultimately it is going to take somewhat of a toll. And I don't know. Like, I'd love to see them both at Cardiff. I think that'd be great. Obviously, Ramsey used to play there. Bale has never played there. But I don't even think they wouldn't even bother playing every game. They would probably train 3 times a week. They'd golf on the other 2 days. And then on a Saturday, they might make 15, 20 minutes from the bench. And unfortunately, that's all we can really expect from them. That would be my sort of assessment on the situation. Shaka Boom says Bale to Rangers. Well, look, judging by what happened to Ramsey there, we don't want Bale going anywhere near Rangers next year.
No, I don't think. I don't think that's going to happen. And Bale's comments on his next club, I think it was right after the Champions League final, made me think like he would want to go somewhere and be the main guy. He would want to play all the time. And like, I don't know, I would be surprised and again, I'm just going to say someday for the sake of saying someday, but like if he went to Southampton or something, where obviously he's been as well, it doesn't matter. Any club you care to think of that's not under high pressure to succeed, but is at a good 100%. Level, then I can see him easily rocking up there and going on Bale, play every game, be like Payet or Fekir, you don't need to bust your ass for 90 minutes to play the whole game, not saying you play that role that they do, but like, you can manage yourself and play longer. But it's that high pressure. Like if he was to go to Newcastle, they want Bale to score 40 goals and take them to top 4. Maybe he's not about that noise, but maybe he's about like, I went to Southampton, scored 20 goals and won Player of the Year, and we got to the FA Cup semi-final, and then we went to Wales, so we played the World Cup, and that's what it was all about.
Yeah, you really hope so. He's made enough money to, I don't think being on a contract of like, let's say he was on 600 grand a week at Real Madrid for the last 10 years or whatever it's been, or however long he's been there, like, going to Southampton on 20, 30 grand a week, that like you said, does it become more about his performance, his body in the sense of like looking after himself? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think he cares about money. I don't think he ever has really. But he's at a time now where like he knows he's not going to get a mega contract somewhere unless he goes to Saudi or something. But does that ruin your legacy in a weird way, or does it not? I don't know.
I think his Real Madrid legacy, I think, is undeniable. I think his send-off was quite nice. I think in the end, the fans were all quite happy with him, and it was like, as a legend, you can't really take it away from him. But I think, like, Bale, if you want to talk about legacy with Bale, I think I do think, like, his numbers at Tottenham in the second spell, they stand up a little bit. The numbers weren't that bad. Minutes per goal and all that kind of stuff was kind of there. So I think, like, if he was to go somewhere like that tier, if you think about Jose Mourinho going to Roma and winning Conference League, if he could do something like that as a player, that kind of equivalent, then I think that kind of cements him. I'm not saying go and win a Conference League, but like go, you're leaving Real Madrid, the only way is down. Go somewhere where you're moving down, but you're still fighting
for something. 100%.
Or stay high level and take the pressure off, like the Southampton example where you stay high level tempo, but like, if you lose at the weekend, nobody really cares. Like,
I think that's what he's looking for, though. I think that's what he's seeking.
Yeah.
Because being at Real Madrid for 8 years or whatever it's been, like, the pressure to win is incredible. Don't get me wrong. You've got everything on the plate for you to become the best team, because they've won 5 Champions Leagues in that time. They're one of the best teams. But that comes with a lot of mental pressure to where, like, it wears down on you. Like, I've been in rooms with Bale. He is the nicest guy in the world. He is a normal person. Normal people, like, aren't meant to be in those high-pressured scenarios. And I know, like, they are and they adapt, whatever. But ultimately, I think he's seeking something different in terms of, like, less pressure, less pressure on him, his family, fans, like the way that obviously the whole Madrid thing kind of planned out. Like, no nice guy wants that type of like relationship with other people. Never mind if you don't know them or whatever it is. it just ain't fun to be around. It tears you down like mentally, and people don't see that. People look at him and go, "Oh, well, he's looked the same for 10 years, same body." Like they forget that like there's a brain inside there that deteriorates in terms of like wanting to do what he's been doing for God knows how many years at a crazy level. And it's like, I think it's time for him to just really look after his body, his mind, and still, like you said, fight for something. Whether that something is whether that something's top 10 in the Prem, or whether that's winning the championship, you know what I'm saying? Just something. You can't, like you said, it's always a drop down from Real Madrid. There's no way you can go that's better than that. He's won everything domestically. Like, what more do you can't do anything more other than look after yourself, I think, in my sort of selfish Welsh brain.
I think as well, like, this isn't like a dig or anything, but see, like Wales and like some other countries, like, see, over the last 20 years, they have had international players that have been like part-timers and like semi-pros,
Giggsy,
so like, no, I don't think like Giggsy. I mean, like, actually, like, they play like League Two in England, and they're not
right.
Like,
okay, yeah.
Or League of Wales, or like you think about like some of these other countries that, anyway, what I was going to say is, I think if Bale wasn't Bale, if he wasn't world class, right, but see if he was that kind of guy, like, I don't know, say like, do you know who? I'll use a Scottish example, right? Like an Alan Hutton kind of type, where he's just like, it doesn't matter if the guy's not playing every week, he's fit and we know him and we can plug him in. I think he would, quite happily like be a part-time guy if he wasn't Gareth Bale, and like if he was like a lower kind of level professional at this stage of his career, he'd probably go, I'll just go to League Two and get the same money, and you only train twice a week, and
100%.
That's the kind of vibe I know get from him.
Yeah, like he isn't a guy that like seeks the limelight in any way, shape, or form. And you'd think, oh, that can't be true. He's got X amount of followers. I can guarantee you, like, I know for a fact that guy is the least like social in terms of like wanting to be the man that there is. Like, he literally just loved playing footy, and that was it. And he was really good at it.
Comments, sorry.
What's Hendo saying?
He's slightly in the comments. I know League Two is full time, but I'm thinking, I can't think about the player. There's definitely a player that's in my head, and I'm saying things trying to remember who it was, but there's definitely like an international, home nations international player over the last 20 years that was like a part-timer or semi-professional or something like that. But anyway, the details. Anyway,
no, it happens. Yeah, no,
Hendo's coming for blood.
Yeah, Hendo's out for you. Hendo did ask a question on his team for this given week, I guess. Oblak, Salik Super Rare, and Mbappe in my team. Do I go Solomon Super Rare and Abada, or do I go Solomon and Kalmak? I don't. Is Mbappe fit?
I think I'm not up to date on Mbappe. I would play Abada, but I would definitely play Abada. Like, if he played well the last time, and then like Israel haven't had a game. I think like this international window is really weird, as we know, for the rotations from what we've seen so far. But also on top of that, some teams have got 4 games, some have got 3, and that kind of thing as well. So some teams have actually missed this midweek game week, and Israel's one of them. So I don't think there'll be much rotation. And again, who knows? Like, who knows? But
no, for sure.
Israel could be a good team to be backing cards for.
Yeah, I'd be going Solomon Super Rare there and Abada, 100%. But I don't know. I mean, Hendo will know more than me, but I don't know if Mbappe's fit, to be, completely honest. I know he got injured and went off half-time in the first Nations League game. He didn't feature in the second. I honestly don't know if he's fit, but Hendo might know more than me. Yeah, Hendo, he went off injured with like a knee injury. I'm not sure if you...
I heard...
you must know.
I heard John reference it on his content at some point, but I don't know. I'm not up on the latest.
So that was, I don't know whether, let me show you. This was the 3rd of June, obviously, but like they thought it was like ACL, LCL, or whatever. It was something to do with his. Okay, so he's saying that it was precaution. Okay, interesting. We'll see if he features. But yeah, if he is featuring, I would go with the Israeli stack that you mentioned, to be fair. Well, what's this? Gareth Bale to Newcastle.
Oh, what did I just say? How old is that? 22 seconds? Boom. It
Wow.
happens so often. You say random shit and then it comes real.
That is wild. Freelance journalist Sean Casey has claimed that Newcastle.
You must be watching the stream, Harry.
He must be. 100%. Bale seamlessly has his pick this summer with the likes of Tottenham, Cardiff City, and Getafe all being tipped for a move. Now Newcastle seemingly throw their name into the hat. That's interesting.
Apparently, Newcastle are like now about to get Botman. Botman's U-turned, I think, on the money. I think Newcastle have just went take a big wad of cash, Sven, and come to the north of England, and he's went, "Wow, that's a lot of cash. I'll see you tomorrow."
Christ. Wow, yeah. I mean,
like.
it's hard to turn down, isn't it? As a 22, 21-year-old lad, if you can make life-changing money, and you haven't made life-changing money yet, you've got to go make it, haven't you? Unfortunately, that's just kind of how the world works.
Very interesting to see what Newcastle do all in.
Yeah. It will be interesting, to be fair. Cause didn't they just sign the left back on a permanent as well? What's his name? The one from Villa.
Target.
Yeah, they just signed him on a permanent, I think. But yeah, in terms of my teams for this given game week, I've got a option. I could run a under 23 rare pro team, but I've got a feeling that Costa's not going to play because I mentioned earlier he's playing tonight, basically. So I could throw something together. One thing that's annoying me about Sorare right now is they don't show they're not showing Eric Garcia here, but then if I click, here's his game.
I don't know. Hit used first rather than NG. That's weird.
Like I've got no training lineup. I've got rid of them all. Yeah, it's been happening for all the Spanish games for me.
Interesting.
So yeah, it is a weird one. And then for midfield, I would probably have to go with. I'd probably throw in a Maya somewhere because I need to use two supers. Cody Gakpo started yesterday against Wales, came off 68th minute. I don't see him really getting much game time against Poland. Neither do I really see Fatty, but if I had to choose, I'm going to say Fatty. He is in the squad. Yeah, he's been on the bench. He hasn't featured at all. The manager said he's going to get minimal minutes basically, and he hasn't had a minute yet. So I'm not holding any hope out there for him to really get anything. And then for my extra player, it's going to have to be Enzo Fernandez. So that is basically my team. Yeah, it is a nice team on paper, but I just don't think they're going to really perform as I'd like them to. I do have a few bits around that, so I could maybe go. I'll go Neuer. Neuer's the safest. Nico Rare. Could throw in Rambo, although he wasn't on the bench last game for whatever reason. Go Bale, and then Onana came off the bench. They're playing Wales. He might get. I don't know.
I think he definitely gets minutes. That Onana.
Do you? Well, he trained inside midweek.
Oh, did he?
And so I think he's okay now. And then this guy, this Castanos fella, he's on the bench right now. So I don't know whether that's a resting issue or because he played the first two games and scored 70 for me. He's been pretty good.
I saw. If they get 4 matches in that team,
I think so. Yeah, they're playing back to back. I think. Yeah, they're playing. I think that's Georgia twice. I think.
Mm-hmm. That's Northern Ireland.
Anyway, no, is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's Cyprus versus Northern Ireland, Harry.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I've got no interest in international flag knowledge, to be honest. But I'm sure the Georgian flag's similar. Please, I need to know this.
It's like 4 of them together.
Let's see. Maybe not. Yeah, it's nothing like it. To be fair. The next iteration of this, you should be able to hover over it and they should tell you the name.
Yeah. I actually tried that. Even if it's not got an icon, it's just that grey square, that grey shield.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, just gonna tell me who the team is.
We'll have to Captain Bale. Okay, so they're my two teams. Nothing crazy. I'm not. Yeah, maybe I've managed to get ETH once over this international break, and luckily it was 0.28 or whatever it was at the time, so that was nice. But no, other than that, I've not done much at all. Do you want to talk about your recent sale in your club, Quinny, or do you want to just maybe gloss over it quickly?
I sold 30 cards today or something like that. It's a lot a lot of fan favourites, a few club legends have left the club.
Tough day in terms
Yeah.
of like collectability in that sense, or like, you know, holding on to these cards that you've owned for a while.
It's kind of like cashing some of that in, you know. I had chats with a few managers around, like I just hung about Discord for about 10 days and just, you know, shopped about. I made a squad, kind of shopped it around a few people and whatever, in terms of like, you know, what would you value, what, you know, try to work out the best thing. And what do you call it? Yeah, so like the way I explained it to one of them was like, a lot of the cards I sold have upside, and I was like, but I'm content. I can accept selling upside as long as I'm also selling like illiquidity.
Illiquidity, yeah. I don't know if I've got
because
that.
some cards are good, but they will take like a week to a month to sell, and then the price, what happens in that week to month could be anything. And then I've got other cards that I could sell within 2 days for this exact amount of money, and there's no problem, and I'll probably be able to sell them for more in a week. But the value was, you know, kind of, you know, the upside against some of that marries out to be a good number I could live with, and I was happy to do, kind of thing. And it's one of these things. It's a really pain in the ass time to do it because everything that's happened to me, ETH. But it's like I was saying, stuff that I do. Like I've had plans to kind of around different points of the year and calendar movements and calendar, you know, checkpoints. Like once I get to this point in the year, I want to be in this situation and think about this then stage of the season and the gallery and whatever. And that, irrespective of crap I can't control, like the price of ETH or, you know, whatever else it might be, then I'm always the guy that will stick to the plan as best as I can. Sometimes it's not always a black and white thing. Sometimes you do need to alter course slightly, but I kind of made my peace with some of it. Like I managed to keep Barco, I managed to keep Works, which was important. Joveljic, who you've got on screen, I did have to let him go, and I think that's probably going to be one of the cards I regret the most letting go of, because U23 striker like him, he's only like 2 more scores away, and you can add half an ETH onto his price minimum, you know, like he's not too far away from really breaking out being something. So I sold some guys with some upside like that, but then there's also like guys like Camavinga, who's worth a lot. It's a rare card and all the rest of it's in the rent kit, but like, you know, like, he's not somebody I'm going to play that much, and at this point you've got to prioritize some things, you know. So some guys like that against, then I'm just trying to think about another example on the other end, like I don't know, somebody like I can't think of an example. Oh, come on, we list over here actually. So something like Brooks Lennon, for example. Like Brooks Lennon, I think is really good, right? Really good cards, super rare as well. But his price and the way the market is ridiculous. Like that card should be worth over an ETH every day of the week. But I've spoke to so many people, and this is a thing that again people underestimate. But you can value the card any way you want, on SRD, on a spreadsheet like I do every 3 months on the channel or whatever. The real value of something is the maximum you can get somebody else to pay you for it. That is the actual value. Everything else is historical data and aggregates.
Mumbo jumbo.
Yeah. So you need to realize a part of that as well. So as much as I can look at like this list here and go, in my head, I value that at X, on Sorare data, it's valued at Y, and then I sold it for Z. You know, at the end of the day, the value of it is Z, because that's what somebody paid for it. You know, like that's so. It's one of those ones. I've got to be listening for. So like Miles Robinson, liquid, but should be better, you know. And then I've got other guys. I don't know, just like that, you know. Grandsir should be a great card, just doesn't really score that well. Again, he's quite close to break. Again, I've got lots of guys that I did get rid of that are like some sort of question mark. They're just they haven't quite hit that stride of form. They haven't quite broken into the team, or their future's maybe a wee bit dubious or whatever. And it's kind of selling off some of that against like some high profile, some actual good upside, you know. So yeah, you can see them all there. All my old pals.
Wow, that must be tough for you.
Yeah, it was. I got a good chunk of change for it all, you know, which is good. Some of that goes straight into my back pocket. And again, I need to, you know, and again, I'm following through with it. I've got a little chart back there, like on the calendar. And there's just anyway, by this kind of point in the year, I wanted to sell a lot of cards that should have been prime. Like a lot of these kind of should be, but the unfortunate thing for me is there's, at this point in time, other things I've got in the way that means market pricing wise, I've definitely not got out at the top at many of these, if any, you know. But what I've also managed to do, there's other cards that didn't go to Super Usman that was also in this kind of bundle, and I managed and swap and sell some of them individually. I managed to keep so initially Barco and Wirtz were in this squad as well, and I was like really shooting for the stars. I was like, we're going to really try and get a big mountain of ETH.
Yeah.
And pocket some and then reinvest some and go get some and do whatever. And then as you kind of realize the liquidity of some of these things, and maybe this experience will be valuable to anyone who's kind of looking at batch selling or whatever. But then as you kind of live through the reality of the liquidity of some of them, you then I started listing them all the time, and then you see the offers you get in, you really see where people are at. Some of them get no offers sometimes. And anyway, so I managed to do some other stuff in the last week or so. I think you had my gallery on earlier. I know it's Susman's, but like I managed to bring in Thiago Andrade, jersey number, champion, like he's NYC are the champions from last year. He's got the little star on the fucking shirt and that, jersey number.
Yeah.
I then managed to get Rio Hatate again. I then managed to get a Daisen Maeda, who again I spent money today. I just sent the guy some ETH because I was flush after that big deal. I swapped my I got a Yokohama Daisen Maeda, and then I managed this guy Dodo Sorare bent me over, man. I paid him money. I gave him 0.13 ETH to swap me. So I wanted a Celtic one. I know I'm stupid and irresponsible for doing it, but I wanted
For which one? The Maeda one?
Yeah, I just swapped him and I paid him some money to do it. I did the same thing with Wanyama. I definitely spent over the odds for the Maeda, but I don't care. It's my money, and that's what I wanted to spend it on. And then today, and then today, I've got my board, my tactics board, so I kind of know like where I'm the depth wise and whatever. But, I needed a Champion America forward, and there was no other man to bring back to the club than Johnny fucking Russell with a real picture. So it's been an emotional day, but I feel strengthened from it. I've got ETH in my wallet, I've got ETH in my pocket, I've got more Celtic cards. I'm buzzing overall.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a really, really efficient situation that you've got yourself into, I think, because I think it just comes back to and comes down to like, is there much point having so many cards in a gallery where like you can't even like utilize them that much to where they're really like paying dividends? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's value in holding things long term and hoping that this guy starts playing after he's on the bench for 15 games or whatever it is. That there is value in that, but I also think like how many of those 35 that you sold were really, really gonna like yield you value in SO5? Like if you're really like brutally honest about it.
I think probably about a third of them are SO5 cards. Like you could that Super Usman, see for as long as they're not sold, he will use when fit Joseph Martinez, Efren Alvarez, who's again I'm really sorry to see I forgot. I'll need to get a limited to him because I will miss him. Joveljic, as you will be equally as biased as I used to be on Joveljic, but I'm now not biased, and I can tell you he will be. He's just 2 or 3 good scores away, and he will break out price wise hugely. So there is some guys in there for sure, but I take your point. And it's kind of like I've been designing this out for a little while, and as I say, I was in negotiations for about a week or so. I sold John because again, so I was in negotiations. John had asked me about Tonali, and I'll say this because John spreads a lot of nasty rumors about the Leroy Sané deal.
Nasty rumor.
It's a horrible rumor. It always makes it out. I'm not even going to tell you how it went down. I'll keep it some sort of mystery if you like. But it tells it like I hustled him, and it just did not happen like that at all. But anyway, he asked me about Tonali. I think I can't remember when. I told him, "Nah, I'm keeping a holiday. I'm fancying him for next year." And then anyway, when I put this squad together, Tonali was on the table, and I said to John, "Listen, he's on the table. He's valued around here. If you want him, I'd be quite happy if you bought him," kind of thing. Still, when he bought him, and that was all well and good. I sold him individually. I sold Renato Sanchez individually. Listen to this as well, like Kostic on Sorare data valuations, which is what all this bulk negotiating is done on, right?
Yeah.
His SRD valuation is like 1.385, something like that, right? This morning, yesterday, I get an offer for super rare Kostic, and it's a trade for basically some negotiations in Discord, but the punchline was trade super rare Kostic for Ferran Torres and 0.2 Ethereum and that guy Sakagni, who I've got no idea who he is. And Ferran Torres on Sorare data is basically valued the same as Kostic. So I did that deal as well, like this morning, right before I sold all the cards. So Kostic at the last minute came out of the bundle and Ferran Torres went in. But in that deal, I also acquired 0.2 ETH out of nowhere, which was nice.
Yeah.
So I'd say like was nice that John got the Tonali, but getting at that point, I got Ethan, and that helped me get the Maida. And I think that really helped pay for a lot of my Celtic champion cards that you'll see there. The main value I've got there is the limited ones, because they will be very valuable in Specialist next year. And then Renato, I think Renato paid for Maida, the Yokohama one. And so
and then you did the swap.
It's been fun.
Okay, no, that makes sense. I'm just seeing what the boys are saying now. Hendo says lots of talk of optimization recently. Number of cards is not a factor at play. It's how do those cards work together. For example, if you have an under 23 card or cards playing in All Star, it's simply wasting the money on the under 23 premium. Yeah, I completely agree with what Hendo's saying here. This is a dilemma and something that I've really thought about. Before the international break, I was putting my leftovers into an all-star team, an all-star rare pro team, knowing that like it isn't going to do anything for me. Whether this a Vandervoort, whether these cards are like 2 ETH cards, they're big cards, but they're big because they're under 23. So I'm like, for me, it's not worth having like too much excess, because if you're not in my top 5 D2 team, if you're not in my rare pro and you're not in my rare under 23 team, 15 places there, if you're not in that, you're effectively wasted in that sense. You could play them in all-star rare and make some ETH, 100%, I'm fine with that, but playing them in all-star rare pro, you're just there to make up the numbers, and that's the way I look at it. And I think that's what Hendo's basically getting at here is like, and I'm sure you'll agree, there's just no point having cards outside of their like prime positioning, as in don't play under 23 guys outside of there in like a simplistic term.
Well, I agree overall, right? And I know that this won't sound like a good example at the moment, right? Because of the way everyone's priced, right? But when I sold, and again, this is only linked to what you just said, right? It's just a pure coincidence. It ties into what I said a second ago in a roundabout way. But when I sold John the Leroy Sané, I was really happy doing that, because mainly SO5 wise, because I had Jota, who I see as being the exact same player as Sané, SO5 wise, like Sané when he's in form. And it wasn't the same price it is now, Jota, of course, back then when this deal was done.
Of course.
But I thought, do you know what? I don't need to play Jota in U23. If I just kid on his name's Leroy Sané, I'll just put him in All-Star. It's the same guy, basically. He does lots of dribbles, gets some goals and assists. Like they've the reason in my head they're the same guys because they're AA. Like,
they do very similar things. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
I agree what you're saying.
I do agree with you, but it depends on what the alternative is, like, because again, peak Leroy Sané, as John will tell you, is 2.2 ETH. And Jota at the moment is 2.2 ETH. So it's one of those ones. Is that really a U23 premium for a high end, at that tippy top end? How is it really a premium for those guys? I think maybe in the mid and the lower range you get that premium, but at the tippy top,
maybe really it doesn't make a difference. There is, because Sané's not under 23.
Exactly. But when he's on peak, he was 2.2 ETH as well. And fair enough, the market was different, so they're not really comparable situations.
It's tough, but he's 2.2 ETH because like he's playing on one of the best teams in the world in Bayern Munich. You know what I'm saying? Like he's gonna get decisives. Although it's worked out that he hasn't, because he hasn't. Let's be honest, he's been really bad ever since you sold him.
Let me just say, there's an O23 striker out there that's the same price as Jota, that's roughly the same L40 score. That like if he was your option or Jota was your option, maybe there's not that much of a difference in price wise. There will be a 2.2 ETH over 23 forward that is worth consideration. Sané was just convenient because he was 2.2 ETH and Jota's 2.2 ETH now. But I guess 2 ETH back in March and 2 ETH today are two totally different things, of course. So I'm with you on that. But yeah, I don't think. But basically, the point being is, like, I think if you're looking for a top end O23 guy, there's not always a big price difference for some of those U23s. Unless it's a goalkeeper.
Yeah. True.
I just think that.
No, there's not. And when I'm seeing these teams with like your Carlos Heels and your Hulks and these guys who like they're just like perfect SO5 players. They're not in real life amazing players in the sense like then there's no collectability in them or there's no longevity in them, but they're good for the now. Like they're really good for the now. When I'm putting my leftover 23s in All-Star Pro, knowing that there's going to be teams with your Heels, your Hulks, the list goes on, Zelleroyan, like all these guys who are like MLS really good players and South American really good players for their price and for their age. It's like I don't even want to bother. But then on the other side of me, it's like, well, do I sell my leftover under 23s and buy these guys or guys of their ilk to then compete in this division? That's the contemplation, I think, isn't it? It's like, do I get rid of my bulk under 23 and move that into like older players who are gonna hopefully on paper yield me some value in an all-star rare pro, if that makes sense.
So, well, what my advice always is with this stuff, not that you need advice, of course, Harry, but the stuff I've sold off strategies. I've not sold off like this guy and that guy, if that makes sense. Like, so on that page you're on now, like there's a filter on the left for squads. Like you can filter like 3 squads and you'll have every card there. Yeah, you'll like the Celtic, any card that's related to Celtic, present or past, that CFG album and then the Red Bull album, that's basically every card I have now fits into those 3 categories, minus like Carlos Soler, Sebastian Lletget, and then 2 other people I forget who, but that's basically the bulk of it now. So the things I've sold have been like the strategies that weren't a part of those strategies, and I've managed to extrapolate those ones out enough that I know that even just with them, like I'm fine. I've got positions, Wirtz and Barco, that was there too. I've still got all my bases covered, but all my LA Galaxy under 23s are gone, except for Julian Araujo, I kept him. And then like my super rare Champ Euro midfielders are gone. And then Champ Euro, like Depay, Max Arnold, Zilla Ryan, some big, they're gone, So it's not, so for me, like rather than tearing up the whole strategies or just parts of it that can go away, rather than,
it's the excess fat, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
I would call it
having 6 strategies isn't economic anymore. I'm just going to have 3, kind of idea. Which is why, like, when people say to me like that kind of thing, like, oh, should I just like take away the excess here? The excess for that, like, how is it defined? That's kind of the punchline from me on that is, what is it? Is it just rotation pieces? Because they can be useful, and sometimes you're better off having them and not needing them than needing them and not have them. As my wife always says, like Ominami. Like I would never have put Ominami into these discussions. Arturo Saka rare. I would never have put that into these. There's no point in selling those cards. Zero. Like the amount of money they're worth in any deal. There were some really cheap cards I gave away in that exchange, but even those ones, they're kind of useful. There's no point in ever really selling them.
No, I agree. It just comes down to what you want to do in terms of where you want to play. What divisions you want to play, and how much excess fat or whatever you want to describe it as rotational, options. Like how much of that are you comfortable with needing or having? Like you said, you're better off having it than sort of wanting it and needing it. Is kind of what it comes down to. But I guess your sort of spin on it is more of like you're coming from like going off like the squads and stuff. Like you're coming from like more of like a historical like collectible standpoint. Like you're looking at CFG card. You know what I'm saying? Like those cards mean something to you. Where like a strict SO5 player like PSU doesn't give an F about whether Ferran used to play for Man City. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So but that's the amazing thing about this game is where like you're coming from it an angle where like, oh, like these guys are still really good. Obviously, one's playing like Ferran's playing for Barca, but you like him and you love that card because he used to play for Man City and he used to play for Valencia. You know what I'm saying? And that is a mindset that is adopted, and you're one of them to sort of give an example of. But then you've got other guys on the spectrum. They're literally all they care about is SO5 output. Like the Carlos Heel is better than Kimmich example. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we're all playing the same game. But there's just so many different iterations in terms of strategies and how your brain likes playing the game. It is basically what it comes down to, isn't it?
Totally. Like collector's angle on any of these would only really be the Celtic ones that are actually in Celtic kits now, to be honest with you. But like with CFG and Red Bull, it's like that they're like institutions I kind of support. It's just, you guys will know at this point. But for SO5 and for So Rare, for me, it's kind of easy talent ID because there's now becoming so much more choice. And like I think if I was starting out today, like I would probably focus quite heavily on Brazil. I've said that a few times, but like, see, as soon as we get that full Brazilian league, like if you can know that league, like you will pull out guys for nothing that will turn into something. Like if you could really get to know that league. So anyway, But I'm quite happy to follow CFG and Red Bull and Celtic, because I know that the kind of cards that are going to knock around, like even those Celtic cards, if you look at the album and you look at the guys that don't play there anymore, like Ki Sung Young, Wanyama, Denier. I used to have Van Dijk in this. I could have had Moussa Dembele. I've just never got round to it, really. You know, that's kind of fun, you know, and they're all kind of useful cards, you know, and they fit a theme, and then it's kind of something I can engage with. It's not necessarily like, oh, I need to collect a Moussa Dembele because he used to play. It's just more like, I need a champion forward, maybe. Not that dude that I would have him, or, you know, I think you get me.
No, I think it's amazing. Yeah, I like that angle because, like you said, in terms of like the scouting thing, it kind of like, you know, if you're in the Red Bull organization, whether that's Salzburg, you know, New York, or even Leipzig, like you're in those organizations for a reason. If you're a player, because like you have some sort of talent, in the sense of like you don't like the scouting's done for you. Like if they're playing for them, 99 out of 100 times, if they're young and they're on the field, like they're making the 11 and stuff, they're going to be very talented boys to where they could, you know, go through that conveyor belt of the Red Bulls and then maybe move on and go elsewhere. But ultimately, there's a blueprint there ready made for you. You don't have to really find these talents. You just have to type in the name of the club and go, okay, Salzburg, and just check all their players. Because you know, most of the time, those guys are going to get moves eventually. It's just when, how, you know what I'm saying? Like it's ready made for you. And I think, like, and with the CFG thing with Man City, similar sort of blueprint and conveyor belt. It's not lazy. I think it's just clever. It's a very clever way of, like, you know, doing that scouting side of the game, which some people do find quite hard, I would say.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. And again, it's one of those ones, like, you're totally right. Like, when you kind of attach yourself to a strategy, you need to just believe in it in some way, shape, or form. And for me, the CFG one kind of allows me to be a wee bit more like adventurous and like look at guys I would never normally look at because I've never played for someday. But like when I've picked up the Harwood Bellis, or when I've picked up like Nemeka, or some of these other guys, it's like, maybe it'll pan out, maybe it won't. It'll be kind of fun, and hopefully it does, because if Man City likes them, then maybe I should like them, kind of idea. And then there's some other guys you'll see that are duds that it's not worked out with. But those are guys, almost all those guys in that album, I wouldn't have had, or very little of them, I would have had any kind of exposure to. The Man City related ones in particular, obviously the New York ones are a bit different. So yeah, I think you need to have a wee bit of exploration in your gallery. And I'm just kind of, like I said, I've just kind of worked out over the last 2 months, like, I don't need all 6 of these strategies to be running parallel at the moment. It's just frivolous at this point. You know, that strategy of, you know, Cherokee and Camavinga and the signed Seachig, that kind of stuff, you know, like, let's sell that strategy, and then as it went.
Yeah, just narrow in and streamline, basically, is what you've done. I would probably, I mean, like you said, you're going to explain it all in a video in depth, and
I think I kind of have, to be honest with you.
You have, but not everyone.
Didn't mean to.
Yeah, no, but not everyone on your channel is going to see. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's going to.
Oh no, it's fine.
Not everyone's going to know that in terms of clicking on this video. But just looking at some of the comments, Francisco, I only have 8 rares. Looking at Quinny's gallery, I can't help but wonder if trimming down the gallery would optimize his performance. I know that was before what Hendo said, but it's an interesting.
I think it's one of these things as well that, like, again, like when you're building your gallery up, no matter how many cards you've got, like, everyone does build a gallery thinking about some point selling it, or selling parts of it at the very least. And again, we talk about this quite a lot. We talk about exit points and stuff like that, but it's kind of understanding what you're building. Because I know that, like, I used to get offers. I don't know, a lot of people got offers for their gallery, but a lot of those cards I let go, I loved owning because it gave my gallery something that other galleries didn't have. Like the Van de Voort, which I traded and eventually got the McGregor for, was maybe the initial part of all this, trading some sentiment away from my club, you know. But by having those pieces, and I know those pieces aren't available to everyone, but any something you can get into your club that is relatively scarce is going to give you some extra value to trade in the market with later on. So when I sold a lot of those cards, like, some of them are really good, but some of them are not as good, and some of them are real speculation. Like Dylan Barrero, U23, 18-year-old midfielder from Mineiro, moves to the Revs. He's starting to get minutes. Maybe he becomes something. Maybe it could be, but I'm not going to wait 4 months to find out anymore. Like, I'm done.
Yeah,
maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but I'm out. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It all just comes back to, what does your gallery offer you? Does it offer you long-term prospects to where you aren't playing SO5 and that's not the strategy, or are you playing SO5 and wanting to yield that way? Because obviously we all know there's multiple ways to win this game or win at this game or be good at this game or whatever way you want to, pronounce it or say it. It's like it all just comes down to what do you want your cards to do for you, doesn't it? That's the golden that's the question for
That's
me. Yeah.
For me, it's all about, I think for next season, and again, some of the stuff we were talking about earlier, the real world engagement for me is going to be even more the focus, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like going to Valencia, me, John Hendo and the lads, that was brilliant. Your Orlando trip, I was so gutted I couldn't go on that. Like I tried to make that happen at the very first kind of stop, and unfortunately it was just too much too soon because of the Spain trip and whatever. Anyway, blah blah blah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That stuff is going to be a lot of fun next season and
Yeah.
beyond. Like, and I'm just want to be knee deep in that kind of stuff, watching and get stuck in, like touching it.
Yeah, like for you, like now you've sort of optimized your gallery even more so with Celtic, being onboarded in terms of, you basically own the whole team in that point. Like going to watch their games it's amazing. It's amazing. Like you're going to watch these players play and you have such an affiliation to them in the game to where like it's just going to mean so much more to you. I know it will. I can't experience it because I'm not a Celtic fan and I don't own these cards, but I just know for a fact that there's going to be like, there's like a bond. Yeah, it's just too much. It's I don't even know the word to describe it is, but it's very exciting, I think. And it's going to make for like incredible, like real life / digital experiences.
For sure. I'll share my screen with you in a second. I was doing this. 2 seconds. I need to go to like game week 282 or something. Right. I am. So see when I got the Maida and the Rio in the other day, I thought I don't know if you've tried this, right? But when you go into so rare data, the concepts thing, it doesn't work it doesn't work for super rares, like the super rare division. I don't know if it works for rare pro. I don't think I've ever tried that, to be honest. So anyway, the only way to do that kind of feature is to go into lineup builder, and it tells you there like where you would have finished. It does that same kind of chart there. So I went in there, right, and I'm just going to throw it up now. No game players, but I got quite excited about my chances.
Are you going to show us on the screen because I haven't got you?
Yeah, I'll put it together, then I'll share it.
Oh, sorry.
Because this is like the team that's going to get me excited every weekend. The kind of stage I'm at. I'm maybe one card away from it, and it wouldn't really take a rocket scientist to maybe try and figure it out. I won't give it away, but I could even, I'll put where's big man. There we go. Sorted, right. And then a share screen. Share. Yep. So this is what I'm kind of looking at as being probably like a good fun team to play with. I've got a Joe Hart, but it's a rare, and that makes a little bit of a difference. Doesn't make all the difference, but it makes a little bit. So like I think if I can play Soraya, if I don't get a Hart, I really do want a Hart super, but I don't think that's going to be cheap or easy. Then, like according to this historic data, and I've got Giakoumakis in here, he could get these scores again, or Kyogo could get these scores, but like this team is going to be that's a tier 1 super.
Jesus.
Tier 2 just off a tier 1, but like as you can see, the blue dot from winning it isn't actually that far away. So that's a midweek probably, where the prize pool's crap. And that's with like, some of these scores are good, but this one here, like, isn't that, oh my God, what an amazing score. That will never happen again.
No, I mean, like you said, if Giakoumakis scores a goal, one of the like Maida is very easily could be the assist, or Hatate could very easily be. You know what I'm saying? On McGregor, like these guys are involved in those goals, so like
so I'm buzzing.
You're looking at double decisives. Like you know what I'm saying? That's where obviously the stacking comes into play. Really, is where that could really kick on. I think.
So I had fun with this, I think, yesterday, the day before. But I put Hart in, it does make a difference. It does make a huge difference. Obviously, they play more times, I guess. There's maybe more
color.
But yeah,
that makes sense.
All fun and games.
Yeah, that's really nice to look at. Very nice to look at. Okay, well, I think when does the international break finish? I think it's game week 280. Is it? Is that
game week 280 is when we can be happy again.
I know. I think it's like the 18th, isn't it? The 18th of June is the like sort of the first day out of, or the 18th to the 21st maybe is the first sort of game week we're back, and feeling happy again, as Quinny said. But yeah, it's felt like forever.
It's been a long international break, especially like as I mentioned earlier. I've had some personal stuff to deal with this week, and that deal as well. And then there's been no football, and I showed up a day early for the Sorare Andrews podcast as well. That's how like I was in there on Tuesday. I was thinking, oh, it's Tuesday, the Andes will be on, and then they were on last night, and like I caught the first 10 minutes, and I was like, I need to go to my bed. And Obi-Wan Kenobi was on last night, so. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, my housemates were watching that. To be fair,
so good, man. Yeah, you're not a fan, I guess. No,
even growing up, I didn't get into Star Wars. To be fair, I was into Harry Potter in and out. I loved like Lord of the Rings, but I didn't get into like.
I wasn't a big Star Wars guy until I've always liked Star Wars. Don't get me wrong, but the Mandalorian got me like big on Star Wars. I really like this guy, so I've got that helmet and stuff. And then like, Ewan McGregor's always been Scottish. You know, it's one of these things like you're always
affiliation.
You're always going to say Andy Murray's the best player ever, and Ewan McGregor's the best actor, and Andy Robertson's the best left back. That's how it goes up here, you know. Like,
got to stay loyal, haven't you?
Stay loyal to your guys. You know what it's like, man.
Yeah, don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. But yeah, okay. Well, I think we've been going an hour and 25 to be fair, so I think we've had a nice little chunk of chatting. What's this now? Hey, Mike, people should think more like a proper club. You don't have to choose one thing. I'm not sure what that's in relation to, but you know, I can live by that.
It's maybe with the themes and stuff, you know. So like,
you
don't just need to be. I'm guessing here, my means like maybe like you don't need to be just under 23s or something like that. It's like because I think that was kind of the last point I was kind of running away with is like when you are building you might have an SO5 team that you're trying to build, but then you might speculate on another element of. I agree, Jordan Paul with Tierney over Robertson, but I'm biased. But you build another arm of your gallery where it's like maybe the backup guys that are injured that will come good, or it is like some Red X guys that might come, whatever it is. But it's being aware of like the parts of the gallery that they are, because sometimes these guys in isolation, like some of these forwards, whoever, they don't fit in, and that can be on a few different levels. And if it's on more than one, sometimes then you get frustrated with them, and it's like, why even bother? You never use them, you undersell them. You're like, why did I just throw the money away?
100%.
Yeah. So
Jordan says Tierney over Robinson. Do you agree with that one, do you, Quinny?
Yeah, I think Tierney, like, it's really hard to say. Like, Robertson is, like, for me, the best left back in the world right now, right? He is. He's so good, Robertson. But, like, when Tierney's fully fit and fully on it, like, I think Tierney is better than him. Like,
do you?
I love Tierney, man. He's so good. I think I don't know. I do. I'm biased because I'm a Celtic fan.
They're very similar.
Robertson's also a Celtic fan, so it's not a huge bias difference. But Robertson is better. But I think Tierney's better.
Yeah. Okay, I can live with that. Yeah, no, I can live with that. I'll agree with you with that one. Hendo says they need each other. Seen it in the Ukraine game. Yeah, it's just I think. Do you think it's like a curse that they're like basically your best two players are like left back?
No, because like Brendan Rodgers did say the future for Tierney would be centre back. So like I'm not against him playing centre back for club or country. And if he can do that, and it allows Robbo, because Robbo is, even though there is a 4 in the back at Liverpool, he plays as if it's a 3-5-2, So if we can play a 3-5-2, because we couldn't play Robertson the way Liverpool do in a back 4, to play Robertson the way Liverpool do, we need to have like 4 defenders extra.
Behind him,
yeah. So and if Tierney facilitates that, and when you see them actually play, by the way, like they're really good attacking together. They are really good. Because they're both
amazing.
Yeah,
they're both so athletic. Yeah, I mean, for me, if I had to choose a player, if I'm picking a left back, I'm picking Robbo. He's a bit older, but I just think in terms of what he offers going forward and defensively, you can't argue with it. Don't get me wrong. Tierney offers very similar going both ways, but just not enough for me. But there's an age difference. In 2 years, I could be eating my words, and Tierney could sort of overtake that. But for now, I think it's stupid to say that Tierney doesn't offer as much as Robbo, because Robbo's playing for Liverpool. Like, let's not kid ourselves. There's proofs in the pudding, ultimately.
Yeah. And he's one of the least rotated players in that Liverpool team over the last 4 years. Like, he plays just as much as Mane and Alisson and Van Dijk.
And Tiscamass is no mug as well, really. Like when he plays, he's very good. But yeah, but you're blessed to say that you've got two amazing left backs, or centre backs / left backs. But yeah, just gutted you didn't make the World Cup.
Aye, cheers, mate.
Gutted for you. I'm sorry.
Cheers, mate.
I mean, at least it wasn't us that knocked you out. I mean, it could have been worse.
Oh, it'd been so much better if we played each other. Man. So
that would have been
better.
Unbelievable, wouldn't it? What a game that would have been.
Yeah, I was saying that on one of my streams, I think, like last week, but it would have been like a cup final, or maybe one of the podcasts or something. But it would have been like a genuine cup final, like Wales versus Scotland for the World Cup final would be on par with like playing England at a tournament. I think to get there, it's a real cup final situation, do or die. It would have been epic. And
two nations that like really respect each other in the sense we're very similar. You know what I'm saying, people wise, and
same
like I think. Yeah, like I just think it would have been unbelievable. It would have been really, really good to watch. That would have.
It would have, but it wasn't. You'll be in Qatar.
I know. So, I know. I will be in Qatar. Well, hopefully, I'm looking at booking my accommodation and flights and stuff to get out there. To be fair, whether I get a ticket or not will be a different question. But
we'll see. I'm sure it'll be arranged.
Yeah. Well. It's not going to be through any Sorare connections. I can guarantee that.
Oh, really? Do you not think so?
I didn't even think. Honestly, I didn't even think of that, to be honest. I mean, the only way that I'm looking at doing it now is going through like the Red Wall, which is the Welsh membership situation.
Of course.
But
I don't understand what you meant by that, but I get you now.
No. Have you seen the allocations? They're giving out 5% in each game to Wales. So it's a 50,000 seater stadium. We're getting 2,500.
It's Qatar.
There's not
a lot of people in Wales. Maybe that's what they're assuming. How many of them are actually going to come over here? Like,
true.
There is only 5,000 people in Wales, so let's say half the people come.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, I get it. I kind of get it, but all those tickets mainly go
like France are not going to get 2,500 tickets, are they? Or England or Brazil?
You'd think not. Yeah, you'd think no, wouldn't you?
You'll be getting full wax, eh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, you'd have to imagine. So yeah.
So for some skullduggery going on, that'll be rotten.
There's something dodgy going on, but there always is, We're the smallest nation in the whole World Cup by population.
Oh, cool.
Apparently.
Yeah, and I think that will stay the same. I think it's just like Peru
and Australia.
Or is it Australia? Yeah.
Australia beats
they're all big.
UAE. Yeah. But no exciting times.
Not Wales. Do you think you'll beat America?
I watched America play their last two games. I watch them quite regularly. I think that individually, like USA have a really good team. I think they've just got no identity still, even though they have more of an identity than they've ever had. With the players they have, the players where they're playing in terms of domestically and stuff, they're very good players, way better than what they've ever had in terms of a team. But I still don't think they're like tournament ready.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I think they're maybe 4 to 6 years away from being like, when like your McKennies and your Pulisic are all like late 20, you know what I'm saying? When they're in their prime. Yeah, peak Tyler Adams. They're really good players, don't get me wrong. There's some winners in there, there's some leaders in there, but I just don't know if I can see them beating a team like us to where like we don't have the best 11 in the world, but when it comes to like just getting games won and getting the job done, I just don't see USA having that like grit. Maybe that's bias. Yeah. Maybe that's just, I think
guys like Bale and Ramsey are always going to have they're always going to have an edge on teams like that because of the semi-final you've got to and their high-profile club careers, obviously.
Yeah, and then even like the bits around it, like your Ben Davies, like these players who are like they're playing in good Premier League teams now. It's like where before it was just basically Bale and Ramsey, but now we've sort of garnered a group to where like you got like your Dan Jameses, they're all playing for like decent Prem teams, and you're in. It's like with Scotland now, most of your players are playing at good Prem teams. Your McGinns, like even the guys around your Tierney's and Robbo's, they're really like high level guys. So it's just like at this point, I'd put money on us qualifying from that group if I had to, but it'll be very tight between us and the USA. If I had to be shots fired to the USA.
I would put money on it now.
I would. I put money on it that we finish second in that group, with USA finishing third. But big statement maybe, but that would be where I'd be putting my money right now. And that's like not being biased either. That's just genuinely like if I was a betting man, I would say England, Wales, USA, Iran.
I would bet on England not getting out of the group.
you serious?
If I was a betting man, I was going to make a bet. That'd been the most fun one, you know.
It'd be the most fun. Yeah, again, I've been watching England over the last few days in their last few games. They're just just identityless. Like I don't enjoy watching England.
What was it? I didn't see England versus Germany or anything like that. What was the script with Trippier? Was it left back or was it? What was the script? But right back. Right back?
No, he played. Walker played. Did Walker? Yeah, Trent didn't
Walker
play.
and Trippier played.
Yeah, Trippier played left back. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He was on set piece and stuff. He did all right, but they just, I don't know. I just don't know what it is with England. They're just not enjoyable to watch. They're just really mundane and boring for me. And I don't go out my way to watch them, but if they're on, I'll obviously watch football because I love watching football. But it's like, I don't know, they just always disappoint me. I'm watching them against Hungary, and Hungary are literally just battering them.
yeah.
And this is Hungary. They have a few good players. Adam Salai, the number 9, like they've got a few good guys, Dominic Szoboszlai, whatever. But apart from that, let's be honest, like Hungary shouldn't be giving England a game, but they gave them a right good game, and they obviously they beat them. So it's like it's just crazy to me. Joe says he'll take that bet. Joe, let's put big money on it.
Let's put it.
Or maybe he's taking your bet.
I'm not saying England won't qualify, but I'm just saying if I was to put a bet on, I would bet on America qualifying personally.
Mm-hmm. No, it'd be fun.
That'll be my team. I'll be backing now.
Yeah.
And,
that makes sense.
So anyway, if we're going to agree that Wales could finish second, I agree Wales could finish second, but I also think America could get out of the group.
I'd love that.
That would then leave England in. So that would be a fun bet.
I would love that. If the US finished first, Wales finished second, and England didn't qualify, oh my God.
I personally do think, like, America, like, all they're missing is someone that can score goals. Like, I think there's so much more that the centre-backs, big questions, and the striker position, big questions. But, like, you know, they'll be able to win the ball and open teams up. And, like,
they will.
You just need a bit of
luck. And they're dynamic as well. Yeah, they do. They need a bit of luck. They need a bit more experience, but they do need a number 9. You're right. Ferreira is not the answer. I like the look of Timothy Weah, though, a lot.
He's coming out to form,
Yeah, the way, like, he's been playing on the right wing, but when I watch him play, he's just really just electric. He's so athletic. He's hard to judge in terms of like defending against him, and he's got a good shot on him. He seems to be hitting some good form, to be fair. But defender wise, like I was just looking at your gallery, you just saw Miles Robinson obviously injured right now. I think him and Zimmerman is a very solid defense. I know they're both playing in the MLS, but they are very good players for the MLS.
I like Miles Robinson a lot. I think he's a quality player. Just that nasty injury. I think Carter Vickers is getting slept on for this team. Like,
yeah,
you know, it's funny, right? Because when Carter Vickers came to Celtic, right, all the Celtic people were like, "Oh, guy's going to be in the America team." Same with the Japanese players, like, "Oh, all these players will be away in international duty." And I was kind of like, these guys aren't really in amongst the national teams, to be honest with you. Especially, I know the American team really well. And people are like, no, if he plays for us, he'll be playing for America. Like, and it's like, no, Miles Robinson, Walker Zimmerman, they're all pretty good. But anyway, like, Chris Richards is not at Hoffenheim anymore. Who knows where he's going to be playing? Miles Robinson's injured. Zimmerman's in MLS. And then beyond that, like, I think Carter Vickers and Zimmerman's probably one of the good shouts now. But I've not seen America in this window, and I know that Vickers played, but I don't know how he done. But I think he'll play Champions League next year. His profile and his experience and his ability will get better as the year goes on.
Shine through. Yeah, 100%. He came on in the game I watched against Uruguay. I didn't see enough of him to where like I could really say much about Carter Vickers, but he's definitely better than Aaron Long. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Joe says he meant my bet. He's back in the US.
Okay.
Let's do it, Joey boy. Let's do it. Money on the table, please.
Matt Schlow is saying Carter Vickers is more of an NFL fullback than a football fullback.
Celtic, he's shaped like one.
I can't remember what game it was, but there was some game. He got a really big score on Sorare, and then Celtic fans for like the next week just called him Fridge, and I believe that's after an NFL player. There's an NFL player called Fridge.
Okay.
So Matt, if you know the reference, feel free to fill in the gaps for me. But
I'm not sure what that reference is. I'll have to ask my friend. My friend's big on NFL. I'll see if I can get his
some guy
his
called
expertise. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
Like
he's a big man. Yeah, he's a big boy, to be fair. All right, we'll leave it there, lads. It's been a pleasure, Quinny. It's been an absolute pleasure. With that, Elliot's just giving us a last minute message. Hello, friend. What do you think of the
Super League?
Oh, okay, being covered in most Would you get into that? I mean, yeah, I would get into it. I'm into the J League. I'm into the K League. So yeah, there's no reason why I wouldn't get into it. But yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know how close that is to being covered. Quinny, have you heard anything?
I had no, the Chinese league is covered. If it is the
It is
Chinese
covered.
league, yeah, I had a card. Tony Sunjic, who's a Bosnian defender at one of the teams.
I know. Yeah. Played for Osaka at some point. Is it that?
I can't. No.
No, it's a different guy.
This is a guy called Sunjic. It's very,
Wow.
very
Okay.
similar names. But the problem I had with China was the scheduling. And bear in mind, it was around COVID times and such, so like it might not be that anymore.
Okay.
But it really seemed to be very ambiguous on when football started and finished. And
Yeah.
you know, so I lost interest in it. But it's a league. If you've got a guy that performs there, like cool, like yeah, fun.
Doesn't Oscar still play there?
Oscar does, yeah.
Yeah.
But next we got a card for him.
Yeah, that'd be very nice, actually. Mikey Baston says it was William Perry playing for the Chicago Bears in the 80s.
Is that what it was? Well, yeah. We were all calling, or not we, the Celtic fans were all calling
Baston smashed the reference there, to be fair to him.
Has his finger on the pulse.
We're going to show that on stream. Look at that. Mikey Baston's made the stream. Okay, well, yeah, it's been a pleasure, lads. Leave a like on the live stream if you enjoyed. There'll be a video dropping tomorrow. Quinn, have you got any content coming up in the next few days? Monday, you said?
End product podcast about later tonight. And
okay.
Yeah, Monday, I've recorded a wee session with Sean Newsham. Should be good fun. And there might be something else out over the weekend. We'll see.
Okay, sounds good. Well, yeah, maybe we'll get together next. Well, will next Thursday mean game week 280, or does that not mean 280?
Yeah. I think next weekend.
It does?
Next weekend.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, if you fancy doing another cheeky duet,
if we can get the people, if they're up for it, if they enjoyed tonight, and then we'll build teams alongside it. Talk about who's suspended, who get injured, who's still away. It sounds like that sounds like it's fun, Harry. Next Thursday.
That does. Yeah, we'll get that going for next Thursday, and hope you have a good week. Hope you have a good weekend, mate. Equally, everyone watching. Have a wicked weekend, lads. Good luck for this upcoming game week if you have anything playing. And that's about it, guys. Been a pleasure. Thank you, guys.